Hello, everyone, and welcome to a read-through of The Princess Bride by William Goldman. Just a group of us, majority of us are from Calgary, but we have some of those foreigners from Utah joining us as well tonight. We're actually very excited to be putting this on for you tonight, and we're going to take a moment here and have everyone just say a quick blurb about who they are and who they're playing tonight. I'll start because I'm talking. My name is Robert Bourne, by the way. I like to hear the sound of my voice, so I talk a lot. So basically, we came about wanting to do this because why not? That's the biggest thing. Why not? You know, a lot of these things are happening. What inspired me, I think, was the celebrities doing that read-through of Fast Times at Ridgemont High a couple of months ago. Plus, a group of us often get together and do these trivia nights that are actually put together by Josh. And we did Princess Bride a couple months ago. And we thought, how much fun would it be to do a read-through? So here we are. We're trying this. And if it goes well, we want to try to do one of these every couple months. The reason I'm doing this little blurb is because eventually this will be hopefully put on YouTube and also all that. So my name is Robert Bourne. I am got 5 kids, 2 ex-wives, and I'm still alive and technically sane. I've been acting since I was 8 years old, movies, plays, all that kind of stuff. And tonight I'll be playing Inigo, and I'm going to shut up now. James.
I'm James Boss. I've done a lot of monster movies. I do zombie flicks. Krampus is my famous costume. I do a lot of monsters that way. I do FX. I've been in a lot of movies with this guy and a couple other people around. This guy over this, and then this guy over, and then I guess that guy over there. Anyway, I do a lot of background stuff. I am large. I stand a whopping 6'4", 6'5" on a good day. I am massive. 320 pounds, blue eyes, long hair, married 25 years. I ate my last kid, so I don't remember her name.
I call him Big James.
I live just outside of Calgary, in a little town called Strathmore. I've always wanted to play this character. I'm hoping that one day I actually get to do another reading of it. I'm hoping I don't mess up too bad tonight. And I'm enjoying this so far. So the rest of you, let's get her going.
Josh?
Okay. I'm Neil Eno. I've been in a background in everything pretty much. Worked with James a few times. Worked with everybody a few times. And I do a little bit of everything. So I'm looking forward to this.
Hi, my name is Josh. I haven't been doing much right now because of everything that's going on. I do host trivia at least once a month. I try to do it once every 3 weeks, but once a month. And I will be playing Prince Humperdinck. I'm looking forward to doing it as well. And then this is my wife, Yola.
Hi. I'm Yola, and I used to be pretty active in acting and modeling when I was younger. I actually got to the point where 2 of the biggest casting directors in Toronto knew who I was and said it was a matter of time for me. So I went to school and kind of left that behind. But I have a lot of talent that I put to waste, and I'm still wasting. But anyway, now I just opened up my own business, and I'm going back to work tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it. That's it.
Excellent.
And what do you be playing?
Oh yeah, that's right, the Booer.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Vito.
Oh, hey, I'm Vito, short for Vittorio Salvatore. I've been in Calgary for the last 10 years. I've been a lifelong musician. I play over 10 instruments. I sing a cappella. And for the last 10 years, I've been a local magician and clown, children's entertainer here, and off and on involved in community theater.
Liz.
I'm Liz, short for Elizabeth Skeeman, and I used to do acting, and I still do singing and music, but I have moved backstage, and I have been working as a stage manager and lighting designer for the last few years. So I am going to be reading all of the stage directions today.
Denise.
Hi, I'm Denise. I'll be playing the mom, the queen, and Yellen. I know Robert, Josh, Yola, and Taylor through Painted Fish. I've been doing musical theater since the early to mid 90s, but I've been acting since I was a child. And I don't know what else to say.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Taylor. We can't hear you, Taylor.
So I pressed the wrong button.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go.
Hi, everybody. I'm Taylor Callan. I've been involved in musical theater in Calgary since 2006 with Robert. Robert was in the first show that I was in, and I've just loved it so much that I wanted something to do.
Yes. Okay, Hunter.
Yeah, my name's Hunter. It's not much about me.
He likes pink and he likes Sailor Moon. And among other things. Hunter's 17, he's in grade 12, and he actually was backstage in the production of Oliver, and he's actually wanting to pursue film and making his own movies.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Spencer. Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Say hi, Daphne. Say hi, Daphne. There she's saying happy. Spencer.
Okay, hi, I'm Spencer. I live here in Salt Lake City, Utah, in the United States. Yeah, I'm playing Wesley. I've loved this movie for years, so like I am so pumped. I've quoted Wesley so much, and yeah, I also do musical theater. I've been in short films. I'm a musician. I'm a singer. Done barbershop, all kinds of cool stuff, and I love the arts, so I'm just happy to be here.
Juliet.
Juliet.
Hi.
Or Buttercup.
Yes. A little bit about me. So I've done a lot of extra work in Lifetime and Hallmark movies. Also, I've been in a couple of short films with Sunrise and
Hello. Wow, what a cool guy.
festival. And I've done tuning festival, and I'm also a musician. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here too.
Excellent. Okay. Kasia.
Hi, I'm Kasia Sandberg. I like going by Kaz. And I'm also here in Salt Lake City, Utah. I actually met Spencer through Rockin' Oldies, which all three of us were in, but I had known Juliet longer. Oh, I'm muted?
Yeah.
Excellent. And Asher. Stop looking at your hands and introduce yourself, son. Okay, just move your mouth.
Hi, I'm Asher Brillard. I'm 14 years old. I live here in Calgary. I'm in the 9th grade. My voice is actually not this high because I have technically reached puberty.
Do you want to talk now?
Please.
My name is Asher. I'll be playing the role of the kid.
Okay, excellent. I think we're good. So
that's basically it. I got something on my hands.
Okay. Nice to meet you. Nice. All right. So
I might have to go wash it off.
Oh, you should do that. You should do that.
Yep. Run into it now because it's going to start right away here.
And I'm going to grab a little more water.
Okay. Yeah. We're literally, guys. So we're going to start in about 1 minute. So if anyone wants to grab a drink, whatever. So would everyone say that this is definitely in their top 5 of favorite movies of all time?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
I like this
love
movie.
this.
Yeah.
Definitely top 5.
Yeah. How many times did you watch? I got it actually. It's on my TV over here. Watched it so many times this week. All right. So we're still waiting for Asher to come back.
My friend actually returned my Princess Bride's DVD yesterday.
Yep. It was kind of a funny thing because when I was following up with Neil about if he wanted to play this role, and he was like, "Yeah, funnily enough, my friend just returned the video to me, his DVD, so it was like fate."
Yeah, and actually, I should also say,
Not leaving my house.
Yes, yes, yes.
I should also say that now I've listened to all of your credentials. I feel really silly about sharing my little song today.
I liked the song.
I loved it.
It was a good song.
It was a good song.
So let's get this started, okay? So whenever you're ready, Liz, please go.
Princess Bride by William Goldman. Fade in on a video game on a computer screen. The game is in progress as a sick coughing sound is heard. This kid, lying in bed coughing, pale, one sick cookie. Maybe he's 7 or 8 or 9. He holds a controller in one hand, presses it, and the video game moves a little bit. Then he's hit by another spasm of coughing, puts the controller down. His room is monochromatic, grays and blues, mildly high-tech. We're in the present day, and this is a middle-class house somewhere in the suburbs. The kid's mother enters, goes to him, fluffs his pillows, kisses him, and briefly feels his forehead. She's worried. It doesn't show.
You feeling any better?
A little bit.
Guess what?
What?
Your grandfather is here.
Mom, can't you just tell him I'm sick?
You are sick. That's why he's here.
He'll pinch my cheek. I hate that.
Maybe he won't.
The kid shoots her, and I'm sure, look. Kid's grandfather bursts into the room, kind of rumpled, but the eyes are bright. He has a wrapped package tucked under one arm as he immediately goes to the kid, pinches his cheek.
Hey, how's the sickie, huh?
The kid gives his mother an "I told you so" look. The mother ignores it, beats a retreat.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I'll leave you two pals.
And she is gone. There is an uncomfortable silence. Then
I brought you a special present.
What is it?
Open it up.
A book?
That's right. When I was your age, television was called books. And this is a special book. This was the book my father used to read to me when I was sick. And I read it to your father. And today I'm going to read it to you.
Has it got any sports in it?
Sports? Are you kidding? Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, miracles.
Doesn't sound too bad. I'll try and stay awake.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's very nice for you. Your vote of confidence is overwhelming. All right. Let me see. The Princess Bride by S. Morgenstern, Chapter 1. Buttercup was raised on a small farm in Florida.
dissolve to the story he's reading about, as the monochromatic look of the bedroom is replaced by the dazzling color of the English countryside.
Her favorite pastimes were riding her horse and tormenting the farm boy that worked there. His name was Wesley, but she never called him that. Isn't that a wonderful beginning?
Yeah, it's really good.
Nothing gave Buttercup more pleasure than ordering Wesley around.
Buttercup's farm, day. Buttercup is standing, holding the reins of her horse, while in the background, Wesley, in the stable doorway, looks at her. Buttercup is in her late teens, doesn't care much about clothes, and she hates brushing her long hair, so she isn't as attractive as she might be, but she's still probably the most beautiful woman in the world.
Farm boy, polish my horse's saddle. I want to see my face shining in it by morning.
As you wish.
Wesley is perhaps half a dozen years older than Buttercup, and maybe as handsome as she is beautiful. He gazes at her as she walks away.
As you wish was all he ever said to her.
Wesley, outside, chopping wood. Buttercup drops 2 large buckets next to him.
Farm boy, fill these with water.
As you wish.
She leaves. His eyes stay on her. She stops, turns. He manages to look away as now her eyes stay on him.
That day she was amazed to discover that when he was saying, as you wish, what he meant was, I love you.
Buttercup in the kitchen at dusk. Wesley enters with an armload of firewood.
And even more amazing was the day she realized she truly loved him back.
Farm boy, fetch me that pitcher.
He gets it, hands it to her. They are standing very close to each other, gazing into each other's eyes. Now he turns, moves outside. Dissolve to Wesley and Buttercup outside his tiny hovel in the red glow of sunset. They are locked in a passionate kiss.
Hold it, hold it. What is this? Are you trying to trick me? Where's the sports? Is this a kissing book?
Wait, just wait.
Well, when does it get good?
Keep your shirt on. Let me read. Wesley had no money for marriage, so he packed his few belongings and left the farm to seek his fortune across the sea.
Wesley and Buttercup stand near the gate to the farm, locked in an embrace.
It was a very emotional time for Buttercup.
I don't believe this.
Of course you will.
But what if something happens to you?
Hear this now. I will always come for you.
How can you be sure?
This is true love. You think this happens every day?
He smiles at her. She smiles too, throws her arms so tightly around him, they kiss. Then Wesley walks away. Buttercup watches him go.
Wesley didn't reach his destination. His ship was attacked by the dread pirate Roberts, who never leaves captives alive. When Buttercup got the news that Wesley was murdered,
Murdered by pirates is good.
she went into her room and shut the door, and for days she neither slept nor ate.
Florin Castle, during the day. The main courtyard of Florin replete with townspeople, livestock, and a bustling marketplace.
5 years later, the main square of Florence City was filled as never before to hear the announcement of the great Prince Humperdinck's bride-to-be.
Cut to Prince Humperdinck, a man of incredible power and bearing, standing in his royal robes on a castle balcony. 3 others standing behind him, an old couple with crowns, the aging king and queen, and a dark bearded man who seems the prince's match in strength. This is Count Rugen.
My people, a month from now, our country will have its 500th anniversary. On that sundown, I shall marry a lady who was once a commoner like yourselves. But perhaps you will not find her common now. Would you like to meet her?
Yes! Huzzah!
A giant staircase leading to the crowd as a figure just begins to become visible. The crowd, as they see the figure, we haven't yet. And if there is such a thing as collective action, then this crowd, collectively, holds its breath. The figure appears in the archway. It is Buttercup, and she is resplendent.
My people, the Princess Buttercup!
The bugles play a loud fanfare. She descends the stairs and starts to move amongst the people. The crowd, and they do a very strange thing. With no instruction at all, they suddenly go to their knees. Great waves of people kneeling, and Buttercup, terribly moved. She stands immobile among her subjects, blinking back tears. Hold on her beauty for a moment.
Buttercup's emptiness consumed her. Although the law of the land gave Humperdinck the right to choose his bride, she did not love him.
Buttercup barrels along, controlling her horse easily.
Despite Humperdinck's reassurance that she would grow to love him, the only joy she found was in her daily ride.
A wooded glen close to sundown. Lovely, quiet, deserted. Buttercup suddenly reins in.
A word, my lady?
3 men standing close together in the path. Beyond them can be seen the waters of Florin Channel. The 3 men are not your everyday commuter types. Standing in front is a tiny man with the most angelic face. He is Sicilian, and his name is Vizzini. Beside him is a Spaniard, erect and taut as a blade of steel. His name is Inigo Montoya. Beside him is a giant. His name is Fezzik.
We are but poor, lost circus performers. Is there a village nearby?
There's nothing nearby, not for miles.
Then there will be no one to hear you scream.
He nods to the giant Fezzik, who merely reaches over, touches a nerve on Buttercup's neck, and the start of a scream is all she manages. Unconsciousness comes that fast. As she starts to fall, a tiny isolated spot at the edge of Florin Channel. A sailboat is moored. It's dusk now, shadows are long. Inigo, the Spaniard, busies himself getting the boat ready. The giant Fezzik carries Buttercup, unconscious, on board. Vizzini rips up some tiny pieces of fabric from an army jacket and tucks them along the saddle of Buttercup's horse. There is about the entire operation a sense of tremendous skill and precision.
What is that you are ripping?
It's fabric from the uniform of an army officer of Gilder.
Who's Gilder?
The country across the sea, the sworn enemy of Florin. Go!
The horse takes off. They start for the boat.
Once the horse reaches the castle, the fabric will make the prince suspect the Gildarians have abducted his love. When he finds her body dead on the Gilder frontier, his suspicions will be totally confirmed.
You never said anything about killing anyone.
I've hired you to help me start a war. That's a prestigious line of work with a long and glorious tradition.
I just don't think it's right killing an innocent girl.
Am I going mad? Or did the word think escape your lips? You were not hired for your brain to hippopotamic landmass.
I agree with Fezzik.
Oh, the sot has spoken. What happens to her is not truly your concern. I will kill her. And remember this. Never forget this. When I found you, you were so slobbering drunk you couldn't buy brandy. And you, friendless, brainless, helpless, hopeless. Do you want me to send you back to where you were? Unemployed? In Greenland?
Vizzini glares at him, then turns and leaves them. During this, Inigo has gone close to Fezzik, who is very distressed at the insults he's just received. As Inigo casts off.
That Vizzini, he can fuss.
Fuss. I think he likes to scream at us.
Probably he means no harm.
He's really very short of charm.
Oh, you have a great gift for us.
Yes, some
Enough
of the
of that.
time.
Oh,
As they sail off, we hear their voices as the boat recedes.
Fezzik, are the rocks ahead?
If there are, we'll all be dead.
No more rhymes now. I mean it.
Anybody want a peanut?
Ah!
The sailboat racing across the dark waters.
We'll reach the cliffs by dawn.
Inigo, sitting at the helm, nods, glances back behind the boat.
Why are you doing that?
Making sure nobody's follow us.
That would be inconceivable.
Despite what you think, you will be caught. And when you are, the prince will see you all hanged.
Vizzini turns a cold eye on the princess.
Of all the necks on this boat, Highness, the one you should be worrying about is your own.
Inigo keeps staring behind them.
Stop doing that. We can all relax. It's almost over.
You're sure nobody's follow us?
As I told you, it would be absolutely, totally, and in all other ways inconceivable. No one in Gilder knows what we've done, and no one in Florin could have gotten here so fast. Out of curiosity, why do you ask?
Oh, no reason. I just happened to look behind us and something is there.
What?
And suddenly, the three whirl, stare back, and as they do, in the darkness behind them, it's hard to see. The moon is behind clouds now, but the wind whistles and the waves pound, and suddenly it's all gone ominous. Inigo, Fezzik, and Vizzini squinting back, trying desperately to see. At this moment, they are all holding their breaths. And there's still nothing to be seen. It's still ominous. Only now it's eerie, too. Then the moon slips through and Inigo was right. Something is very much there. A sailboat, black, with great billowing sail, black. It's a good distance behind them, and it's coming like hell, closing the gap.
Probably some local fisherman out for a pleasure cruise at night through eel-infested waters.
And now, as the sound comes from their boat, they turn as Buttercup dives into their water and starts to swim away.
Go in! Get after her!
I don't swim.
I only dog paddle.
Ah! Veer left! Left! Left!
Buttercup is still close to the boat, switching from a crawl to a silent breaststroke. The wind dies, and as it does, something new is heard. A not too distant, high-pitched shrieking sound. Buttercup stops suddenly, treads water.
Do you know what that sound is, Highness? Those are the shrieking eels. If you don't believe me, just wait. They always grow louder when they're about to feed on human flesh.
Buttercup, treading water still not far from the boat. The shrieking sounds are getting louder and more terrifying. Buttercup stays silent.
If you swim back now, I promise no harm will come to you. I doubt you'll get such an offer from the eels.
Buttercup is a gutsy girl. The shrieking sound is louder still, but she doesn't make a sound. Behind her now, something dark and gigantic slithers past. She's scared, sure, petrified. Who wouldn't be? But she makes no reply. And now a shrieking eel has zeroed in on her. And now she sees it, a short distance away, circling, starting to close, and Buttercup is frozen, trying not to make a movement of any kind, and the eel slithers closer, closer, and Buttercup knows it now. There's nothing she can do. It's over, all over, and now the eel opens its mouth wide, and it's never made such a noise, and as its great jaws are about to clamp down.
She doesn't get eaten by the eels at this time.
What?
The eel doesn't get her. I'm explaining to you because you look nervous.
Well, I wasn't nervous.
His grandfather says nothing, just waits.
Well, maybe I was a bit concerned, but that's not the same thing.
Because we can stop now if you want.
No, you could read a little bit more if you want.
And he grips the sheets again as the grandfather picks up the book.
Do you know what that sound is, Heine? Oh, those are the shrieking eels.
We're past that, Grandpa. You already read it.
Oh my goodness, I did. I'm sorry. Beg your pardon. All right. Let's see. She was in the water. The eel were coming after her. She was frightened. The eel started to charge her, and then...
And we're back where we were at the last moment we saw her. Buttercup frozen, the shrieking eel, jaws wide, about to clamp down, and as we see a giant arm pounding the eel unconscious in one move, then easily lifting Buttercup.
Put her down. Just put her down.
Inigo, pointing behind them.
I think he's getting closer.
He's no concern of ours. Sail on. I suppose you think you're brave, don't you?
Only compared to some.
The boat at dawn, being followed closely by this black sailboat, which we can see for the first time is being sailed by a man in black, and his boat almost seems to be flying.
Look, he's right on top of us. I wonder if he's using the same wind we are using.
Whoever he is, he's too late. See? The cliffs of insanity.
And once he's said the name, they rise straight up, sheer from the water, impossibly high. The two sailboats in a wild race for the cliffs, and the man in black is closing faster than ever, but not fast enough. The lead was too great to overcome, and as Inigo sails with great precision straight at the cliffs.
Hurry up! Move the thing! That other thing! Move it! We're safe. Only Fezzik is strong enough to go up our way. He'll have to sail around for hours till he finds a harbor.
There is much activity going on, all of it swift, expert, economical. Fezzik reaches up along the cliff face, grabs a jutting rock, reaches behind it. Suddenly, there is a thick rope in his hands. He drops it to the boat, gives the rope a freeing swing, and the rope goes all the way up to the top of the cliffs. Inigo hurries to Fezzik. He straps a harness to him, then lifts Buttercup and Vizzini into the harness. Finally, he himself gets in the harness. All three are strapped to Fezzik like papooses. He starts to ascend the rope, carrying them all along with him as he goes. The man in black, sailing in towards the cliffs of insanity, watching as Fezzik rises swiftly through the first moments of dawn. Fezzik's group is only faintly visible far below. This is the first time we've gotten the real vertigo feeling, and it's a gasper. Fezzik climbing on. Buttercup is almost out of her mind with fear. Fezzik is moving right along. However high they are, he's already over a third of the way done. The man in black leaps from his ship to the rope, starting to climb. He's impossibly far behind, but the way he goes, you'd think he didn't know that because he is flying up the rope, hand over hand like lightning.
He's climbing the rope, and he's gaining on us.
Inconceivable!
He prods Fezzik, who nods, increases his pace.
Faster!
I thought I was going faster.
You were supposed to be this colossus. You were this great, legendary thing. And yet he gains.
Well, I'm carrying 3 people, and he's only got himself.
I do not accept excuses. I'm just going to have to find myself a new giant, that's all.
Don't say that, Vizzini. Please.
His arms begin moving much more slowly. The man in black also continues to climb. If anything, he is speeded up. Fezzik's lead is smaller and smaller.
Did I make it clear that your job is at stake?
The man in black is less than 100 feet behind them and gaining. The cliff top as Fezzik makes it. Vizzini leaps off and takes out a knife, begins to cut the rope which is tied around a great rock while Inigo helps the princess to her feet, and Fezzik just stands around waiting for someone to tell him to do something. Nearby are some stone ruins. Once they might have been a fort, now they kind of resemble Stonehenge. The man in black, feet from the top now, maybe less, maybe only 50, and his pace is as dazzling as before. Vizzini cuts through the last of the rope and it slithers across the ground and out of sight toward the channel, like some great serpent at last going home. Fezzik stands with Inigo by the cliff edge.
He's got very good arms.
The man in black is hanging suspended hundreds of feet in the air, holding the jagged rocks, desperately trying to cling to life. Vizzini joins Inigo and Fezzik at the cliff edge. Stunned, he turns to them and exclaims,
He didn't fall? Inconceivable!
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. My God, he's climbing.
And so he is. Very slowly, he is picking his way upwards, sometimes a foot at a time, sometimes an inch.
Whoever he is, he's obviously seen us with the princess and must therefore die. You, carry her. We'll head straight for the Gilder frontier. Catch up when he's dead. If he falls, fine. If not, the sword.
I want to duel him left-handed.
You know what a hurry we're in.
Well, it's the only way I can be satisfied. If I use my right, over too quickly.
Oh, have it your way.
Fezzik goes to Inigo.
You be careful. People in masks cannot be trusted.
I'm waiting!
Fezzik nods and hurries after Vizzini. Inigo watches them depart, then turns, peers down over the cliffs. He watches a moment, then paces, shaking his hands loose. He practices a few of his honed fencing skills. He is a taut and nervous fellow, and has never been one for waiting around. The man in black climbs on. He must be 6 inches closer to the top than when last we saw him. Inigo is watching. Inigo walking away. Finally, he goes back to the cliff edge, starts to talk. It's instant death if the man in black falls, but neither gives that possibility much credence. This is our 2 heroes meeting. They don't know it yet, but that's what it is.
Hello there.
The man in black glances up, kind of grunts.
Slow going?
Look, I don't mean to be rude, but this is not as easy as it looks, so I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't distract me.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Inigo steps away, draws his sword, loosens up with a few perfect thrusts, and resheaths and looks eagerly over the edge again.
I do not suppose you could have speeded things up.
If you're in such a hurry, you could lower a rope or a tree branch or find something useful to do.
I could do that. I've got some rope up here, but I do not think that you would have sent my help, since I'm only waiting around to kill you.
That does put a damper on our relationship.
But I promise I will not kill you until you reach the top.
That's very comforting, but I'm afraid you'll just have to wait.
I hate waiting. I could give you my word as a Spaniard.
No good. I've known too many Spaniards.
Isn't there any way you'll trust me?
Nothing comes to mind.
And on these words, camera zooms into a close-up on Inigo. He raises his right hand up, his eyes blaze, and his voice takes on a tone we have not heard before.
I swear on the soul of my father, Domingo Montoya, you'll reach the top alive.
There is a pause. Then, quietly,
Throw me the rope.
Inigo dashes to the giant rock the rope was originally tied to. Inigo returns with a small coil of rope, hurries back to the edge, and hurls it over. The rope hangs close to the man in black. He releases the rocks, grabs the rope, hangs helplessly in space for a moment, then looks up at Inigo and, straining, forcing his body away from the cliff edge and rising through the early morning light, slowly, steadily, and as the cliff top at last comes within reach, Inigo watches as the man in black crawls to safety. Wesley then looks to Inigo.
Thank you.
Well, wait. We'll wait until you are ready.
Again, thank you.
The man in black sits to rest on the boulder that once held the rope. He tugs off his leather boots and is amazed to see several large rocks tumble out. The man in black wears gloves. Inigo stares at them.
I do not mean to pry, but you don't by any chance happen to have 6 fingers in your right hand?
Wesley glances up. The question clearly baffles him.
Do you always begin conversations this way?
My father was slaughtered by a 6-fingered man. He was a great sword maker, my father. And when the 6-fingered man appeared and requested a special sword, my father took the job. He slaved a year before he was done.
He hands his sword to the man in black.
I've never seen its equal.
The 6-fingered man returned and demanded it, but his 1/10 his promised price. My father refused. Without a word, the 6-fingered man slashed him through the heart. I love my father, so naturally I challenged his murderer to a duel. I failed. 6-fingered man let me leave, but he gave me these.
He touches his scars on his cheeks.
How old were you?
I was 11 years old. When I was strong enough, I dedicated my life to the study of fencing. So the next time we will meet, I will not fail. I will go up to the 6-fingered man and say, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die."
You've done nothing but study swordplay.
Well, more pursuit than study lately. You see, I cannot find him. It's been 20 years now, and I'm starting to lose confidence. I just work for Vizzini to pay the bills. There's not a lot of money in revenge.
Well, I certainly hope you find him someday.
You all ready then?
Whether I am or not, you've been more than fair.
You seem a decent fellow. I hate to kill you.
You seem a decent fellow. I hate to die.
Begin.
And what we are starting now is one of the 2 greatest sword fights in modern movies. The other one happens later on. And right from the beginning, it looks different. Because they aren't close to each other. None of the sword crossing on guard garbage. No, what we have here is 2 men, 2 athletes, and they look to be too far away to damage each other, but each time one makes even the tiniest feint, the other counters, and there is silence. And as they start to circle, feinting here, feinting there, and the 2 men finish teasing, begin to duel in earnest. Their swords cross, then again, and the sound comes so fast it's almost continual. Inigo presses on, the man in black retreating up a rocky incline.
You're using Benetti's defense against me, huh?
I thought it fitting, considering the rocky terrain.
Naturally, you must expect me to attack with Capofero.
And he shifts his style now.
Naturally. But I find Tybalt cancels out Capofero, don't you?
The man in black is now perched at the edge of the elevated castle ruins. Nowhere to go, he jumps to the sand. Inigo stares down at him.
Unless the enemy studies his Agrippa.
And now, with the grace of an Olympian, Inigo flies off the perch, somersaults clean over the man in black's head, and lands facing his opponent.
Which I have.
The two men are almost flying across the rocky terrain, never losing balance, never coming close to stumbling. The battle rages with incredible finesse, first one and then the other gaining the advantage, and by now it's clear that this isn't just two athletes going at it. It's a lot more than that. This is two legendary swashbucklers, and they're in their prime. It's Burt Lancaster in The Crimson Pirate battling Errol Flynn in Robin Hood, and then, incredibly, the action begins going even faster than before. Inigo is behind Wesley now, drawing closer all the time. Is the deadly edge of the cliffs of insanity. Inigo fights and ducks and feints and slashes, and it all works, but not for long, as gradually the man in black keeps the advantage, keeps forcing Inigo back closer and closer to death.
You are wonderful.
Thank you. I've worked hard to become so.
The cliff edge is very close now. Inigo is continually being forced towards it.
I admit it. You're better than I am.
Then why are you smiling?
Inches from defeat, Inigo is, in fact, all smiles.
Because I know something you do not know.
And what is that?
I am not left-handed.
And he throws the six-fingered sword into his right hand, and immediately the tide of battle turns. The man in black is stunned, doing everything he can to keep Inigo by the cliff edge. But no use. Slowly at first, he begins to retreat. Now faster, Inigo is in control, and the man in black is desperate. Inigo and the six-fingered sword is all but invisible now as he increases his attack, then suddenly switches styles again. A rocky staircase leading to a turret-shaped plateau. The man in black is retreating like mad up the steps, and he can't stop Inigo. Nothing can stop Inigo. And in a frenzy, the man in black makes every feint, tries every thrust, lets go with all he has left, but he fails. Everything fails. He tries one or two final desperate moves, but they are nothing.
You're amazing.
I ought to be after 20 years.
And now the man in black is smashed against a stone pillar, pinned there under the six-fingered sword.
There's something I have to tell you.
Tell me.
I'm not left-handed either.
And now he changes hands, and at last the battle is fully joined. To Inigo's amazement, he is being forced back down the steps. He tries one style, another, but it all comes down to the same thing. The man in black seems to be in control. And before Inigo knows it, the six-fingered sword is knocked clear out of his hand. Inigo retreats, dives from the stairs to a moss-covered bar suspended over the archway. He swings out, lands, and scrambles to his sword. The man in black watches Inigo, then casually tosses his sword to the landing where it sticks in perfectly. Then the man in black copies Inigo. Not copies, exactly, improves. He dives to the bar, swings completely over it like a circus performer, and dismounts with a backflip. Inigo stares in awe.
Who are you?
No one of consequence.
I must know.
Get used to disappointment.
Okay.
Inigo moving like lightning. He thrusts forward, slashes, darts back, all in almost a single movement, and the man in black dodging, blocking, and again he thrusts forward, faster even than before, and again he slashes, but there is never a move that anyone makes he doesn't remember, and this time, Inigo blocks the slash, slashes out himself with the six-fingered sword. On it goes, back and forth across the rocky terrain, Inigo's feet moving with the grace and speed of a great improvisational dancer. Suddenly, the six-fingered sword is knocked free, arcing up into the air, and, after a pause, Inigo catches it again. Something terrible is written behind Inigo's eyes. He has given his all, done everything a man can do, tried every style, made every maneuver, but it wasn't enough. And on his face for all to see is the realization that he, Inigo Montoya of Spain, is going to lose. The man in black moves in for the end now, blocking everything, muzzling everything, and the six-fingered sword is sent flying from Inigo's grip. He stands helpless only a moment, then he drops to his knees, bows his head, shuts his eyes.
Kill me quickly.
I would as soon destroy a stained glass window as an artist like yourself. However, since I can't have you following me either.
And he hits Inigo's head with his heavy sword handle. Inigo pitches forward, unconscious.
Please understand, I hold you in the highest respect.
He grabs his scabbard and takes off after the princess, and we cut to a close-up of Vizzini.
Inconceivable!
Vizzini is staring down from a narrow mountain path as far below the man in black can be seen running. Fezzik, carrying the princess, stands alongside. It's a little later in the morning.
Give her to me. Catch up with us quickly.
What do I do?
Finish him. Finish him your way.
Oh, good. My way. Thank you, Vizzini. Which way is my way?
Pick up one of those rocks, get behind the boulder. In a few minutes, the man in black will come running around the bend. The minute his head is in view, hit it with the rock.
Vizzini and Buttercup hurry away.
My way's not very sportsmanlike.
He grabs one of the rocks and plods behind the boulder. The man in black races up the mountain trail. Ahead is a bend in the trail. He sees it, slows, then he stops, listening. Satisfied by the silence, he starts forward again, and as he rounds the bend, a rock flies into frame, shattering on a boulder inches in front of him. Fezzik moves into the mountain path. He has picked up another rock and holds it lightly.
I did that on purpose. I don't have to miss.
I believe you. So what happens now?
We face each other as God intended. Sportsmanlike. No tricks. No weapons. Skill against skill alone.
You mean you'll put down your sword and you'll put down your rock, I'll put down my sword, and we'll try to kill each other like civilized people?
I could kill you now.
He gets set to throw, but the man in black shakes his head, takes off his sword and scabbard, begins the approach toward the giant.
Frankly, I think the odds are slightly in your favor at hand fighting.
It's not my fault being the biggest, the strongest. I don't even exercise.
He flips the rock away. The man in black is not now and has never been a shrimp, but it's like he wasn't even there. Fezzik towers over him so much. There is a moment's pause, and then the man in black dives at Fezzik's chest, slips skillfully into a beautifully applied bear hug. Fezzik just stands there, kind of taking in the scenery. Finally, the man in black pushes himself away, stares up at the giant.
Look, are you just fiddling around with me or what?
I just wanted to make you feel like you're doing well. I hate for people to die of embarrassment.
They get set to begin again. Then suddenly, Fezzik jumps forward with stunning speed for anyone his size and reaches for the man in black, who drops to his knees, spins loose, and slips between the giant's legs.
You're quick.
And a good thing, too.
Why do you wear the mask? Were you burned by acid or something like?
Oh, no. It's just that they're terribly comfortable. I think everyone will be wearing them in the future.
Fezzik considers this a moment, then attacks, and if he moved quickly last time, this time he is blinding, and as the man in black slips down to avoid the charge, Fezzik moves right with him, only instead of twisting free and jumping to his feet, this time the man in black jumps for Fezzik's back, and in a moment he is riding him, and his arms have Fezzik's throat locked across Fezzik's windpipe, one in front, one behind. The man in black begins to squeeze tighter.
I just figured out why you're giving me so much trouble.
Fezzik charges towards a huge rock that lines the path, and just as he reaches it, he spins his giant body so that the entire weight of the charge is taken by the man in black. The power of the charge is terrible, the pain enormous, but the man in black clings to his grip at Fezzik's windpipe.
Why is that, do you think?
Well, I haven't fought just one person in so long. I've been specializing in groups, battling gangs and local charities. That kind of thing.
Again, Fezzik charges, slower this time, but still a charge, and again he spins and creams the man in black against the rough boulder. And again the punishment is terrible, and for a moment it seems as if he is going to let go of Fezzik's windpipe and crumble, but he doesn't. He holds on.
Why should that make such a difference?
Well, you see, you use different moves when you're fighting half a dozen people. Then only have to worry about one.
His power has diminished. Fezzik finally collapses. Fezzik goes to earth and lies still. Struggling, the man in black turns the giant over and puts his ear to Fezzik's heart. It beats. The man in black stands.
I do not envy the headache you will have when you awake, but in the meantime, rest well and dream of large women.
And he nimbly scoops up his sword with his foot, catches it, and as he dashes off along the mountain path, Prince Humperdinck slips his boot into a footprint in the sand. Count Rugen, mounted, watches. Behind him, half a dozen armed warriors also mounted. A great white horse waits riderless in front. Humperdinck is all over the rocky ground, and maybe he isn't the best hunter in the world. Then again, maybe he is. Because as he begins to put his feet into strange positions, we realize that what he is doing is miming the fencers.
There was a mighty duel. It ranged all over. They're both masters.
Who won? How did it end?
The loser ran off alone. The winner followed those footprints towards Gilder.
So it shocked them both.
The loser is nothing. Only the princess matters. Clearly, this was all planned by warriors of Gilder. We must all be ready for whatever lies ahead.
Could this be a trap?
I always think everything could be a trap, which is why I'm still alive.
And he gallops off. The man in black is cresting the peak of the mountain, close up on a knife pointed to the throat. Pull back to reveal Vizzini munching on an apple, holding the knife to Buttercup's throat. She is blindfolded. A picnic spread is laid out, a tablecloth, 2 goblets, and between them a small leather wine container, and some cheese and a couple of apples. The picnic is set on a lovely spot, high on the edge of the mountain path, with a view all the way back to the sea. The man in black comes running around the path, sees Vizzini, slows. The 2 men study each other. Then,
So, it is down to you, and it is down to me.
the man in black nods and comes nearer.
If you wish her dead, by all means, keep moving forward.
And he pushes his long knife harder against Buttercup's unprotected throat.
Let me explain.
There's nothing to explain. You're trying to kidnap what I've rightfully stolen.
Perhaps an arrangement can be reached.
There will be no arrangement. And you're killing her.
Vizzini jabs Buttercup's throat with his long knife. Buttercup gasps against the pain. The man in black stopping fast.
But if there can be no arrangement, then we are at an impasse.
I'm afraid so. I can't compete with you physically, and you're no match for my brains.
You're that smart.
Let me put it this way. Have you ever heard of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates?
Yes?
Morons.
Really? In that case, I challenge you to a battle of wits.
For the princess?
Man in black nods.
To the death?
Another nod.
I accept.
Good. Then pour the wine.
As Vizzini fills the goblets with the dark red liquid, the man in black pulls a small vial from his clothing, handing it to Vizzini.
Inhale this, but do not touch.
I smell nothing.
What you do not smell is called iocane powder. It is odorless, tasteless, dissolves instantly in liquid, and is among the more deadlier poisons known to man.
Vizzini watches excitedly as the man in black takes the goblets and turns his back. A moment later, he turns again, faces Vizzini, drops the iocane vial. It is now empty. The man in black rotates the goblets in a little shell game maneuver, then puts one glass in front of Vizzini, the other in front of himself.
All right. Where is the poison? The battle of wits has begun. It ends when you decide and we both drink and find out who is right and who is dead.
But it's so simple. All I have to do is divine what I know of you. Are you the sort of man who would put the poison into his own goblet or his enemies? Now, a clever man would put the poison into his own goblet because he would know that only a great fool would reach for what he was given. I am not a great fool, so I can clearly not choose to whine in front of you. But you must have known I was not a great fool. You would have counted on it, so I can clearly not choose to whine in front of me.
You've made your decision then.
Not remotely. Because Io King comes from Australia, as everyone knows, and Australia is entirely peopled with criminals. And criminals are used to having people not trust them, as you are not trusted by me. So I can clearly not choose to whine in front of you.
Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
Wait till I get going. Where was I?
Australia.
Yes, Australia. And you must have suspected I would have known the powder's origin, so I can clearly not choose to whine in front of me.
You're just stalling now.
You'd like to think that, wouldn't you? You've beaten my giant, which means you're exceptionally strong. So you could have put the poison into your own goblet, trusting on your strengths to save you. So I can clearly not choose to whine in front of you. But you've also bested my Spaniard, which means you must have studied. And in studying, you must have learned that man is mortal, so you would have put the poison as far from yourself as possible, so I can clearly not choose to whine in front of me.
As Vizzini's pleasure has been growing throughout, the man in blacks has been fast disappearing.
You're trying to trick me into giving something away. It won't work.
It has worked! You've given away everything! I know where the poison is!
Then make your choice.
I will! And I choose...
And suddenly he stops, points at something behind the man in black.
What in the world can that be?
The man in black whirls around, looking.
What? Where? I don't see anything.
Vizzini busily switches the goblets while the man in black has his head turned.
Oh, well, I could have sworn I saw something. No matter.
The man in black turns to face him again. Vizzini starts to laugh.
What's so funny?
I'll tell you in a minute. First, let's drink. Me from my glass, and you from yours.
And he picks up his goblet. The man in black picks up the one in front of him. As they both start to drink, Vizzini hesitates a moment. Then, allowing the man in black to drink first, he swallows his wine.
You guessed wrong.
You only think I guessed wrong. That's what's so funny. I switched glasses when your back was turned. Ha ha, you fool. You fell victim to one of the classic blunders. The most famous is never get involved in a land war in Asia, but only slightly less well known is this. Never going against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
He laughs and roars and cackles and leaps and is in all ways quite cheery until he falls over dead. The man in black steps past the corpse, takes the blindfold and bindings off Buttercup, who notices Vizzini lying dead. The man in black pulls her to her feet.
Who are you?
I'm no one to be trifled with. That is all you ever need now.
He starts to lead her off the mountain path into untraveled terrain.
To think, all that time it was your cup that was poisoned.
They were both poisoned. I spent the last few years building up an immunity to iocane powder.
And with that, he takes off, dragging her behind him. A mountain path. It's where Fezzik fought the man in black. The prince, kneeling, inspecting every grain of misplaced sand. The others wait behind him.
Someone has beaten the giant. There will be great suffering in Gilder if she dies.
He leaps onto his horse and they charge off. The man in black comes running into view, still dragging Buttercup, who sometimes stumbles, but he keeps forcing her along. Finally, when she is close to exhaustion, he lets go of her.
Catch your breath.
If you'll release me, whatever you ask for ransom, you'll get it. I promise you.
What is that worth? The promise of a woman. You're very funny, Highness.
I was giving you a chance. It does not matter where you take me. There's no greater hunter than Prince Humperdinck. He could track a falcon on a cloudy day. He can find you.
You think your dearest love will save you?
I never said he was my dearest love. And yes, he will save me. That I know.
You admit to me you do not love your fiancé.
He knows I do not love him.
Are not capable of love is what you mean.
I have loved more deeply than a killer like yourself could ever dream.
The man in black cocks back a fist. Buttercup flinches, but does not retreat.
That was a warning, Highness. The next time my hand flies on its own, from where I come from, there are penalties when a woman lies.
The picnic is spread as before. The prince, kneeling by Vizzini's body as the others ride up. The prince grabs the empty poison vial and sniffs it.
Iocane. I bet my life on it. And there are the princess's footprints. She is alive, or was, an hour ago. If she is otherwise when I find her, I shall be very put out.
And he vaults onto his horse, and they all charge off. Buttercup falls heavily as the man in black releases her. We are at the edge of an almost sheer ravine. The drop is sharp and severe. Below, the ravine floor is flat, but getting there would not be half the fun.
Rest, Highness.
I know who you are. Your cruelty reveals everything.
The man in black says nothing.
You're the dread pirate Roberts, admit it.
With pride. What can I do for you?
You can die slowly, cut into 1,000 pieces.
Oddly complimentary, Your Highness. Why loose your venom on me?
You killed my love.
It's possible. I kill a lot of people. Who was this lover of yours? Another prince like this one? Ugly, rich, and scabby?
No, a farm boy. Poor and perfect, with eyes like the sea after a storm.
And probably, if she did not hate Roberts so, there would be tears.
On the high seas, your ship attacked, and the dread pirate Roberts never takes prisoners.
I can't afford to make exceptions. Once word leaks out that a pirate has gone soft, people begin to disobey you, and then it's nothing but work, work, work all the time.
You mock my pain.
Life is pain, Highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something. I remember this farm boy of yours, I think. This would be, what, 5 years ago?
Buttercup nods.
Does it bother you to hear?
Nothing you can say will upset me.
He died well. That should please you. No bribe attempts or blubbering. He simply said, please, please, I need to live. It was the please that caught my memory. I asked him what was so important for him. True love, he replied. And then he spoke of a girl of surpassing beauty and faithfulness. I can only assume he meant you. You should bless me for destroying him before he found out what you really are.
And what am I?
Faithfulness he talked of, madam. Your enduring faithfulness. Now, tell me truly, when you found out he was gone, did you get engaged to your prince that same hour? Or did you wait a whole week out of respect for the dead?
You mocked me once, never do it again. I died that day.
The man in black is about to reply as they stand there on the edge of the sheer ravine, but then something catches his eye. The dust cloud caused by Humperdinck's horses is rising up into the sky. And while his attention is on the dust cloud, rising high, Buttercup pushes him with all the strength she has.
You can die too, for all I care.
Teetering on the ravine edge for a moment, then he begins to fall. Down goes the man in black. Down, down, rolling, spinning, crashing, always down towards the flat rock floor of the ravine. Buttercup is staring transfixed at what she has wrought. There is a long pause. She stands there, alone, as from far below the words come to her, drifting on the wind.
As you wish!
Oh, my sweet Wesley, what have I done?
Without a second thought or consideration of the dangers, she starts into the ravine. A moment later, she too is falling, spinning and twisting, crashing and torn, cartwheeling down toward what is left of her beloved. Prince Humperdinck and the others rein in at the spot where Buttercup promised ransom in exchange for her freedom. The prince shakes his head.
Disappeared. He must have seen us closing in, which might account for his panicking in air. Unless I'm wrong, and I am never wrong, they are headed dead into the fire swamp.
The ravine floor. Two bodies lie a few feet apart, not moving. It is, of course, Buttercup and Wesley. They might be corpses. After a time, Wesley slowly forces his body into movement, and as he does, bruised and torn, Wesley crawls slowly towards Buttercup.
Can you move at all?
Move? You're alive. If you want, I can fly.
They embrace.
I told you. I would always come for you. Why didn't you wait for me?
Well, you were dead.
Death cannot stop true love. All it can do is delay it for a while.
I'll never doubt again.
There will never be a need.
And now they begin to kiss. It's a tender kiss, tender and loving and gentle and gentle.
Oh, no, please.
What is it? What's the matter?
They're kissing again. Do we have to hear the kissing part?
Someday you might not mind so much.
Skip on to the fire swamp. That sounded good.
Okay, you're sick. I'll humor you. So where were we here? Yeah. Okay. Wesley and Buttercup raced along the ravine floor.
Wesley and Buttercup race along the ravine floor. Wesley glances up. Humperdinck and his men are perched at the top of the cliff, looking down at Wesley and Buttercup.
Your pig fiancé is too late. A few more steps and we'll be safe in the fire swamp.
Wesley has tried to say it with chevalier-like nonchalance, but she isn't buying.
We'll never survive.
Oh, nonsense. You're only saying that because no one ever has.
And they race off, leaving Humperdinck and his men stranded, defeated. The fire swamp. And it really doesn't look any worse than any other moist, sulfurous, infernal horror that you might run across. Great trees block the sun. Buttercup is clearly panicked, and maybe Wesley is too, but he moves jauntily along, sword in hand.
It's not that bad. Well, I'm not saying I'd like to build a summer home here, but the trees are actually quite lovely.
The giant trees, thick and black green, look ominous as hell, and they shield all but the intermittent stripes of sun. A giant spurt of flame leaps up, preceded by a slight popping sound, and this particular spurt of flame misses Wesley, but Buttercup is suddenly on fire, at least the lower half of her is, and Wesley instantly forcing Buttercup to sit, gathering her flaming hem in his hands, doing his best to suffocate the fire. This isn't all that easy, and it causes him a bit of grief, but he does his best to sound as jaunty as before.
Well, now that was an adventure.
He examines where the flames burst over her.
Singed a bit, were you?
You.
He was, but he shakes his head no, and as he pulls her to her feet, and as there's another popping sound, Wesley grabs Buttercup, pulling her aside to safety as another great spurt of flame suddenly shoots up.
Well, one thing I will say, the fire swamp certainly does keep you on your toes.
Buttercup is frozen with fear. He takes her hand, gently leads her forward as they move slowly along through a particularly dangerous part of the fire swamp. It's later now. The sun slants down at a slightly different angle.
This will all soon be but a happy memory, because Robert's ship Revenge is anchored at the far end. And I, as you know, am Robert's.
But how is that possible, since he's been marauding 20 years and you only left me 5 years ago?
I myself am often surprised at life's little quirks.
There is again a popping sound and then a huge spurt of flame. Wesley simply picks up Buttercup as they walk along, moves her out of danger, puts her back down, goes right on talking without missing a beat.
You see, what I told you before about saying please was true. It intrigued Roberts, as did my descriptions of your beauty. Finally, Roberts decided something. He said, all right, Wesley, I've never had a ballet. You can try for tonight. I'll most likely kill you in the morning. 3 years he said that. Good night, Wesley. Good work. Sleep well. I'll most likely kill you in the morning. It was a fine time for me. I was learning to fence, to fight, anything anyone would teach me. And Roberts and I eventually became friends. And then it happened.
What? Go on.
Wesley picks her up, carrying her across some swamp water that is bridged by a narrow, rickety tree branch.
Well, Roberts had grown so rich, he wanted to retire. So he took me to his cabin and told me his secret. I am not the Dread Pirate Roberts, he said. My name is Ryan. I inherited this ship from the previous Dread Pirate Roberts, just as you will inherit it from me. The man I inherited it from was not the real Dread Pirate Roberts either. His name was Cummerbund. The real Roberts has been retired 15 years and living like a king in Patagonia. Then he explained the name was the most important for inspiring the necessary fear. You see, no one would surrender to the Dread Pirate Wesley.
The two of them have by now crossed the pond.
So, we sailed ashore, took on an entirely new crew, and he stayed aboard for a while at first mate, all the time calling me Roberts. Once the crew believed, he left the ship, and I've been Roberts ever since. Except, now that we're together, I shall retire and hand the name over to someone else. Is everything clear to you?
Buttercup, perplexed, is about to reply, but the ground she steps on gives way. It's lightning sand. A great patch of it, and it has her. A cloud of powder rises, and she sinks into the stuff, crying Wesley's name, but then she is gone. Wesley whirls, slashing at a U-shaped vine, hacks it in half. It's still connected to the tree. Then he grabs it, drops his sword, and clutching the other end of the vine, he dives into the lightning sand, and there is another cloud of white powder, but it settles quickly. Now nothing can be seen. Nothing at all. Just the lightning sand, lovely and lethal. An odd panting sound is heard now. The panting sound is suddenly very loud. And then a giant ROUS darts into view. The ROUS, a rodent of unusual size, is probably no more than 80 pounds of bone and power. It sniffs about a bit, then, as quickly as it has come, it goes. Wesley, lungs long past the bursting point, explodes out. He has Buttercup across his shoulders, and as he pulls to the edge of the lightning sand pit using the vine, Buttercup's face is caked with the white powder. It is in her eyes, her ears, hair, mouth. She is still probably visible, but you have to look awfully hard to see it. As Wesley continues to pull them to safety, the ROUS high above them, it watches. Wesley is cleaning the lightning sand from Buttercup's face. He hesitates, glances around, and the ROUS is on a much lower branch now. It stares down at Wesley. Wesley stares back up at the beast. Buttercup is oblivious. Her eyes flutter.
We'll never succeed. We may as well die here.
No, we have already succeeded.
He glances back again. Now there are 2 ROUSs. They have climbed into a nearby tree, staring hungrily down. Wesley helps her up. He puts an arm around her, starts to walk with her as he encouragingly goes on talking.
I mean, what are the 3 terrors of the fire swamp? 1, the flame spurts, no problem. There's a popping sound preceding each. We can avoid that. 2, the lightning sand. But you were clever enough to discover what that looks like, so in the future we can avoid that too.
Wesley, what about the ROUSs?
Rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist.
And as he says that, an ROUS comes flying at him from off-screen. Buttercup screams. Wesley, pinned under the attacking ROUS, trying to fend it off, can't. The thing's teeth sink deep into his arm. He howls. Wesley drives a fist into the beast's face, rolling it off. He reaches for his sword just a few feet away, but the ROUS is back atop him. It's a fierce battle, and just when we think Wesley can't possibly win, he flips the ugly rodent clear. Wesley scrambles for his sword. The ROUS stampedes on, changing its target, heading right for Buttercup, and she's scared to death, and... Wesley abandons his sword, reaching for the rodent, grabbing only a tail, wrestling with it. Buttercup grabs a small branch and, using it as a club, beats the skull of the thing, doing pretty well. But the beast manages to snag her hem with its razor teeth, and she's pulled to the ground and jumps on its back, and the ROUS is all over him now, sinking needle teeth into Wesley's shoulder. Wesley cries out in pain. With death close at hand, a popping sound starts. He tries one desperate move, rolls into the sound with the ROUS pinned under him. The flame spurt shoots skyward, and the beast bursts into flame. It lets go, and Wesley rolls safely free. He grabs his sword and exhaustedly stabs the ROUS, which is trying to put itself out. The ROUS collapses dead. Wesley stands motionless, exhausted. The danger has passed. The far edge of the fire swamp. Beyond, a beach.
We did it. Oh wait, sorry.
we did it.
Now, is that so terrible?
And from somewhere, they summon strength, pick up their pace, and as they reach the edge of the fire swamp, something we hadn't expected. Humperdinck, on his horse, Rugen beside him. 3 warriors, armed and ready, are mounted in formation behind. Buttercup and Wesley are at the edge of the fire swamp, about to leave it. They stop. Buttercup looks beyond exhaustion. Wesley looks worse.
Surrender!
It's dusk. Behind Humperdinck are the waters of the bay.
You mean you wish to surrender to me? Very well, I accept.
I give you full marks for bravery. Don't make yourself a fool.
Ah, but how will you capture us? We know the secrets of the fire swamp. We can live there quite happily for some time, so whenever you feel like dying, feel free to visit.
I'll tell you once again, surrender.
It will not happen.
Buttercup is looking from one to the other. Then something else catches her eye, and she sees an armed warrior in shadow with a loaded crossbow aimed at Wesley's heart. Buttercup looks the other way and sees another armed warrior with a crossbow aimed at Wesley.
For the last time, surrender!
Death first!
Will you promise not to hurt him?
Humperdinck whirls to face her.
What was that?
Wesley whirls to face her.
What was that?
If I surrender and I return with you, will you promise not to hurt this man?
May I live 1,000 years and never hunt again.
He is a sailor on the pirate ship Revenge. Promise to return him to his ship.
I swear it will be done.
Humperdinck turns to address Rugen.
Once we're out of sight, take him back to Florin and throw him in the pit of despair.
I swear, it will be done.
I thought you were dead once, and it almost destroyed me. I could not bear it if you died again, not when I could save you.
Wesley is dazed, silent. Buttercup tries to speak again, can't, and is swooped off her feet by Humperdinck's horse, and off they go. Wesley stares after her. Rugen watches as his warriors bring Wesley to him. The Count has a heavy sword, and he holds it in his hand.
Come, sir. We must get you to your ship.
We are men of action. Lies do not become us.
Well spoken, sir.
Wesley is looking at him.
What is it?
You have 6 fingers on your right hand. Someone was looking for you.
Count Rugen clubs Wesley hard across the skull. Wesley starts to fall. The screen glows black.